Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Sokobond. I hope I'm pronouncing that even close to correctly, which kind of feels like my catchphrase these days. But Sokobond is a game that I saw at PAX, but didn't actually get a chance to check out at PAX, but it was selected as one of the PAX 10, you know, the group of games. I was going to say decade of games, but it probably would not take you 10 years to play all 10 of them. But in any case, the 10 games selected by the Penny Arcade Illuminati that basically exemplifies what they are looking for in a fun, kind of interesting game. And Sokobond definitely fits the bill there. Remember Space Chem, the chemistry game where you try to like make a reactor that would send an atom through and eventually make the kind of compound or molecule that you wanted? This is nothing like that, but aesthetically it is a chemistry-themed platformer. Sorry, puzzler, not platformer. Which does make the comparison sort of convenient to make. It is much more like a game that I played last year on the channel. I believe it was made by a guy named Increpare. Again, do I even need to say it? I hope I'm pronouncing that even close to correctly, called English Country Tune. Same kind of style. We're basically pushing blocks around trying to make chemical compounds, molecules, and it's incredibly difficult, and it breaks my brain, and it's a lot of fun, and it has fantastic music from the guy who did, or contributed music at the very least, to the YOG Electronic Superjoy, as well as Starseed Pilgrim. So it's got a nice kind of like ethereal, floaty, and I guess ambient kind of quality to it that I like a lot. Let's get started here. I've played probably about 45 minutes of the game so far, and to be honest with you, and this is kind of shameful for me to admit, but I feel like I've kind of reached my skill ceiling. I don't know if there's much more room for me to improve at the game. At the very least, it's going to be a struggle for me to beat some of these levels that I haven't unlocked yet. Just before we get started, I should point out that each of these kind of different colored areas adds in a new mechanic to the game. So, you know, we start with some very simple mechanics that you're going to see, and then we will move on to some mechanics that will boggle my brain and hopefully intrigue you as well. In a weird way, it kind of reminds me of Splice as well. Not from a mechanic standpoint. Splice, of course, a lot of people are going to be familiar with because of its inclusion in a couple humble bundles. The Android one, for sure. One of the Android ones, anyway. But yeah, in respect to its minimalism, this is a very minimalistic puzzler. And you know what? If you don't stay on your guard, you might actually find yourself learning something as well. So I'm going to get in here. Basically, the way that it works, we are on a, you know, grid-like arena here, and we control a single atom. So, you know, the atoms are indicative of atoms in real life. Obviously, I'm playing as a hydrogen atom right now. And if we become adjacent, well, I guess we should say that, you know, the little white ball that is circling around us, that is representative of an electron that is eager to bond. So if I go adjacent to another molecule that has an electron eager to bond, like, for example, oxygen here, I can form a hydroxide ion, and then I can pull that up here, and now I control both of these, moving them both at once. The one that you are controlling is outlined in that kind of dotted line. And then I'll pull this down here, and we'll create the molecule many of you have probably, you know, imbibed today, water. Water is the least toxic compound, but water poisoning is still possible. That is definitely true. And that's the very basic kind of style of what goes on in Sokobond. You know, it might seem very simple, you know. For example, I was able to do that level in a matter of seconds because I'm the most MLG Sokobond player in the world. I like how it does give you a little bit of flavor text as well. It teaches you just a little something something. You know, I have a bachelor's degree in biology, but my chemistry knowledge is sorely lacking, which for those of you who have gotten an education into the sciences at a post-high school level, you'll know that that's on me, because I did go through a lot of chemistry classes. I just remember an unfortunately small amount of it. So, things do get more and more difficult as time goes on, as one might expect. For example, you can push atoms like this, and now I found myself in a situation where I've basically reached a fail state, and there's nothing I can do about it. But what I can do, I suppose, maybe there's not nothing I can do about it, is I can hit the Z key, or the Z key, and just kind of figure it out. Now, how are we going to do this? We got to push this around in some way. So you see, like, this is the level that really exemplifies that this is much less about chemical knowledge as it is about just like puzzle acumen, because it's more of a block pushing game than it is about chemistry. We'll get into things like splitting bonds, double bonds, etc., later on in the game, and I'll try to show off as many of those as I can, but it's definitely not a game that you need chemistry knowledge to play. Space Chem, you didn't necessarily need chemical knowledge to play Space Chem, but it definitely aided you. Like, that game was very hardcore. I love that game a lot. I love the guys at Zachtronics, but this is much more accessible. There's no question about it. They're totally different games. They don't even warrant comparison except at like a superficial level. So again, we got water. Not all of these are about water, by the way. Why don't we, this one is though. Oh no, wait, that's about like ammonium. Why don't we try this one right here? Not. So eventually we will get different kinds of atoms that will allow us to form different kinds of molecules. Quick out there for anyone who's in secondary school or beyond, or you know, if you're in public school or kindergarten and you answer this question, I'll be very impressed. What is CH4? The carbon single bonded to 4 hydrogen molecules. Have your answer in before we leave the class, and I will give you a cookie or something. There you go. We've completed that. That is methane. Methane is highly flammable and can be used as a rocket fuel. That's true. It can also be used as a fuel to get people to leave the room after it leaves your butt. So, now I'm like, okay, let's not go down this road. It's like ammonium nitrate or something. No, don't listen to me. Okay. Things get more and more complicated. We're getting into kind of like the later levels of the early part of the game, if that makes sense. So we still only have one mechanic. Our mechanic is bonding, basically. We haven't learned about anything else yet, but it's going to be a little trickier. So you got to think about how these bond. Obviously, nitrogen has 3 electrons that can bond to these 3 hydrogens, but then that leaves no places for oxygen to get in. So we got to kind of think about the chemical structure of this without boring you. So what I think we want to do is we want to make like an NH2. We want to bind 2 hydrogens to our nitrogen. But how do we, what kind of orientation do we want to have for this? Let me think about this. That's not going to be how I want to do this. I think I might have messed this up already. I might not have, but I might have. Yeah, I think I have. And then I want to bind oxygen to the nitrogen, as you can see, and then I'd want to bind hydrogen to the oxygen. So let's just reset this level and try again. I'm not sure if this is one I have beat or have not beat. Beat, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about how I want to do this. I could come through like this, and then like that. Okay, and then this is going to make it possible to create that molecule, hydroxylamine. So, you know, just like I said, ammonium acid. Many integrated circuits in phones and computers were washed with hydroxylamine-based cleaners. Very interesting. Clearly, I will not remember that because I played it earlier and did not. Okay, let's talk about another new mechanic in the red zone here. We get introduced to this mechanic of splitting. So basically, these kind of red crosses that you'll see on the ground, if we move our bond past them, it'll get snipped up. And obviously on this one, you know, H2O, we have to make water. So we need to find a way to do this in such a way that I can bring oxygen out here and then bring it back up like that, and there you go. So it might seem like it's very simplistic right now, but, I mean, it's always very simplistic, and I mean that in a very positive way, but it does get much more difficult as time goes on, and I should be very careful about what levels I pick, because if I take a level that I haven't beaten, we're going to be in for some trouble here. So here's an interesting level that causes a lot of problems, or caused a lot of problems for me. Let's actually restart to go back to our, you know, 0 state conditions here. You have hydrogen up there. We need to get that out because we're trying to make NH3, right? How do we get it out? Well, if we just, I mean, there's not even anything we can really do at the start here. We can grab like one of these hydrogens, but then we can't get out, right? Because we're kind of bonded over this. So to be honest with you, I've kind of forgotten what we do here. I think we have to end with nitrogen in this position because there's no way we're ever going to get those hydrogens out of there. So we have to kind of split our molecule in such a way here. Sorry, yes, it is a molecule, I guess. We have to split our bond in such a way here that I can get nitrogen above this hydrogen. Is there a way to do this right at the start? Maybe if I start like this instead. So basically, in case you're confused about what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to make sure nitrogen is above my hydrogen molecule. But it's not very easy to do because, as you can see, like when I try to pull it past this, it just splits it. Maybe I've gotten in over my head a little bit. You know what? Let's leave, and we'll check out maybe another level in here that maybe I'd be more likely to beat. Things do get very difficult very quickly. I totally remember this level, and I totally remember this level completely hurting my brain. How did we want to do this one? I think we need one hydrogen. We need it to be set up like H, like it is right now, but with that hydrogen at the top actually bonded to the right, and then we just shove the whole molecule into the end, and it bonds in kind of that tetranomino at the end. And I'm just trying to figure out how to make it happen. By the way, if you're confused about what's going on right now, that's understandable. This is not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. There we go. It just kind of becomes intuitive after a while, so we're learning a little bit more about ammonia. Ammonia is a gas at room temperature, but it dissolves in water. How interesting. yeah, you just kind of figure it out after a while, if that makes sense. And maybe that's not that comforting, but it is how I've basically been able to beat the game here. Or not beat the game, but beat some of the levels. You just kind of get it after a while. There is definitely some trial and error involved, but there's also just some kind of like hang out for a while and let the puzzle percolate in your brain, and you'll be more likely to figure it out. You know, unlike Space Cam, which was a game where it was not meditative at all, it was not Zen-like. You spent a lot of your time, you know, tearing your hair out, and it was designed fantastically well. Again, I think Space Cam is a fantastic game, but it was frustrating at times by design. This is much more like an English Country Tune or a Starseed Pilgrim or a Splice, in the sense that it's meant to be almost meditative, and I know some people are into that and some people aren't, but I am. So any game that requires me to, or doesn't task me with being, you know, incredibly intelligent is one that I can get behind. So on this one, I mean, this is, I shouldn't necessarily say fairly obvious, but there are, I guess I should say, some fairly obvious quirks that need to happen here. Obviously, we need to... I should try to split this bond, too. Will that even work? Yeah, okay. Oh, no! What have I done? Wait, is this good or bad? This is bad for now, but could be good later. Just push this... No! Oh, if I could just get to the end and grab this one. Okay, I want to restart, actually, here. So we're trying to make a CH4O, so it's like a... I don't know if that's a carboxylic acid or something. Again, it's been forever. Basically, we need C, carbon there, bonded to 3 hydrogen and an oxygen, and then the oxygen is also bonded to an additional hydrogen. I think we should grab this one first, and we'll try to slot that one in on the bottom of this carbon molecule, which I think requires that. Okay. And then we've got to get... This oxygen's going to come off, no question about that. Then we're going to slot, like, one of these into the top. And that's going to work like this, I think. Okay. That worked fine, much to my surprise. And then if we could just get that, like, last hydrogen over... Oh, God, what have I done here? Thank you. Okay, we're safe. If I could just get this hydrogen to kind of meet up here... I'm just trying to think about how this is going to happen. This is not right yet. I think I've made things substantially worse for myself. Oh, no, wait, this is good. I accidentally beat the level. That happens surprisingly often. That was methanol. Oh, moonshine, okay. It's the most elemental of the organic alcohols. That makes sense. Ethanol, of course, being the one that makes you extremely happy. Okay, let's learn another mechanic now. I've obviously reached my kind of proficiency level there. We should go with a level in the green. And what this teaches you is about double bonding. So, you know, if you have a molecule, sorry, not a molecule, but an atom with 2 free electrons, and then a molecule with another 2 free electrons, you could do a double bond in order to ensure that all of the electrons are occupied, attracted to one another. So that's what we have here, essentially. We have to have 2 double bonds because we have a carbon with 4 free electrons, and then some oxygen with two free electrons. But it doesn't initially bond in a double bonded format, which I believe is chemically not accurate, which is fine because this is not a game necessarily based on chemistry, beyond aesthetics anyway. So we just kind of took our bonds past that plus sign, and then it turned into double bonds. And look, we have carbon dioxide. That's, you know, a pretty important compound, I would have to say. Similarly, here we have nitrogen, each having 6 free electrons. Sorry, total having 6 free electrons, and hydrogen having 1 each. So I think the way that we have to do this is actually each nitrogen gets 1 hydrogen attached to it, and then you turn that into a, like, triple bond. Or, sorry, each hydrogen gets 1 nitrogen, each nitrogen gets 1 hydrogen, and then the nitrogen is triple bonded to itself. So I think I might have messed this up already. So I think the right thing to do is to come up here, grab this, and then triple bond. Oh, it's only a double bond. I'm stupid. We did fix it, though. So we made diazine, NH2. It's unstable. It'll react with itself. Again, very interesting. And then we've got levels that I haven't beaten yet. I might not have actually tried them yet. Let's see if this is possible. I don't think I spent much time worrying about the double bonded stuff. So this is the same situation. We need to create 2 double bonds with carbon and oxygen here. But there's no way for me to get down there, unfortunately. So let's try this again. You know, it's a complicated game. This is weird. This can't possibly be right. No. It's not a complicated game, sorry. It's just a game that is tricky sometimes, and it's not tricky due to any kind of like chemical knowledge. It's tricky due to it's tricky due to the kind of layout of the arenas, if that makes sense, or the layout of the puzzles themselves and the grids. I don't know if I can beat this level. I don't want to spend too much time kind of floundering around here. I don't think it's fair to the game. That's the excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Like, it needs to be like this, but I guess it needs to be in a like a triangle format instead of in a yeah, like this could work, right? Yeah, that totally works. Okay, that was actually much easier than I expected. Frozen carbon dioxide does not melt. It converts directly from solid into gas. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Let's do one more here. So we have one oxygen with 2 free electrons, 1 hydrogen, and 1 nitrogen. Okay, how will this create? Got to think about it. We probably want to do one of these, and then a double bond between nitrogen and oxygen, but I've messed up the layout a little bit. It's kind of neat how there's like multiple layers to the puzzles. Like the first layer is, you know, what configuration do these need to be in order to make chemical systems, like in order to be able to bond with no free electrons. So you got to think about like how, like the order that they need to go and what bonds to what. But then you've also got to think about how to orient them properly in the space in order to be able to get to the kind of block that you can use to augment them and reach your win conditions, if that makes any sense at all. So we definitely want hydrogen bonded to nitrogen, and then I think we want to take it down this way and just walk it across like that. All right, that was perfect. Nitroxyl. Nitroxyl shows potential in the treatment of heart failure. Very interesting. That is basically, I think there's one more mechanic that I've unlocked so far. No, there's not. Okay, these are just like harder versions of existing levels. Harder versions on the same mechanic, I think. You know, as you can see, you can kind of choose which level to go to, so at any given time, if you're stuck, you know, I have like 7 levels, 10 levels here to choose from. It is literally 10 levels here to choose from in order to try to advance myself a little bit further. And when you beat one that's at like a threshold here, you can move on to another new area. So I assume that, you know, the space eventually mostly fills up with levels, and that's super cool. That's going to do it for this fairly quick let's look at of Sokobond. This game is currently available on the Humble Store for $10. If you're the kind of person who is into games like Splice, English Country Tune, then I would consider this to be right up your alley. You can also give it a vote on Steam Greenlight. I will put that link in the video description below, as well as a link to the Humble Store. Check it out if you're into meditative puzzlers. It's obviously a game that is not for everybody. It is frustrating in the most zen-like way possible. Maybe I even learned something while I was playing it. I'm having a good time with it so far, let's put it that way. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't spoil too many of the puzzles for those of you who are thinking of picking it up. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.